Greetings and welcome to another exciting edition of Poet the Poet, or as it's known in the trade, America's Wildest Bloopers. Anyway, my name is Robert Dunn, and I have the dubious distinction of being the host of this taffy pull, and we're going to be pulling some very fascinating taffy indeed. Our chief taffy pullers for today include Bruce Weber, the Bing Crosby of the Lower East Side of New York Poetry Circle, and also we have New Middle Class, and they have their secret identities along with them as well as Mike and Barbara Borak, and they have their guitar and their voices and their songs. And Bruce bought poems, and I bought a few poems myself, but I got rooked for them. It's my turn to brag before we get to the guests, because I have in my hand here the 1996 Poets Market, where they give you something like 1,700 different places to send your poetry to, and with any luck at all, one gets published once in a while. They slipped a poem of mine in, because a magazine editor, the editor of the magazine iCut, or eCut, however they pronounce it, IHCUT, of Napavine, Washington, decided to slip my poem in here as an example of what they were looking for. They must have been really drunk that night, but what the heck. It's called Dust Off That Resume. It goes like this. The minimum wage job vacancy requires double PhDs, 20 years experience, plus marriage to the boss's daughter. This they call equal opportunity. Well, fortunately, it was a short poem. And now we come to Bruce Weber, who sometimes doesn't go by the title of the Bing Crosby of the New York Poetry Circuit. Sometimes he goes, what did we decide on? The Nat King Cole Porter Wagoner?
Honus Wagner?
That too. Let's see, he co-runs rather than co-hosts the ABC No Rio Unorganized Reading, which is on Sundays. It's on Rivington Street. It's a fun place, also a little treacherous in terms of the some of the flooring there, but which makes it very interesting when people go and dive for the podium.
Right.
Wait a minute. That's the one
dodge a rat or two.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, we've all had trouble with some of the poets before. Anyway, let's see. You also run something called Out Cold, the alternative New Year's Eve, the New Year's Day night reading. We always get mixed up on that. Now, is it true that you really book 80 features into 12 minutes?
90.
90?
12 minutes.
90 features. I did it myself. I got to do 1/3 of a haiku. It was great fun. Tell us about some of your chapbooks.
I have a new book that's going to come out in the spring with Lunar Press, and a couple of things last year.
Yeah.
And I have a book that came out in '92, Palmetto Press in Miami, called These Poems Are Not Pretty.
Ah. Was that on purpose?
Uh-huh.
All right. Is your first poem going to be a not pretty poem or a pretty poem?
No, I only write pretty poems now.
Ah. So your chapbook was mislabeled.
No, that's the way I used to write.
Oh, okay. Well, what have you got today, then?
This is called Call Me Stupid.
All right.
I like one-syllable words like spud or dog or ant. These small words do not penetrate your intellect, but they're plenty good. Take a word like pop. It cools your thirst on a hot summer day. Or when you punch a guy for getting too close to your pride, pop, he goes flying out of the bar. Our country is made up of many small words. Some are as clear as Thoreau's pond and jump up like Twain's frog and linger on a human shoulder until there's room enough to pass on a fluid route to the brain with its expressways, shortcuts, and bridges. The mind digests these small, dazzling words and builds entire towns from their timber. Whether full of mist or sharp as midday summer light, these small words find homes in the nests of birds who keep them warm when the wind gets forked and splits the road into a pentagram of confused folks looking for a center. These small words congregate together, so many geese in a pack flying across the landscape filled with its valuable details. These small words coat my throat with their mellifluence like a fluttering of angel wings above an ancient battlefield of gladiolas and wreaths. They are wiser than I, who can never get smart enough to add them all together and watch them parade down Main Street America, their collars straight, their breeches tight, their size appropriate for the cheering, simple dreamers among the crowd, looking for something they can hold on to, like red, white, and blue.
Yes, small words indeed. Fascinating poem. Is it the small words that got you started writing?
No, no.
Well, what did get you started in this racket?
I was looking for girls, you know?
Uh-huh. Did you find any?
No.
But you kept on anyway because something must have kept you going.
Yeah, well, I've been writing a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty continuously for around 25 years. Yes.
How did you happen to hit on ABC No Rio as a reading site?
Well, I went to a number of readings, and that was the one that excited me the most.
Uh-huh.
The kind of writing and the performers.
And you made them a bid as a corporate raider, and and then nobody knew what corporate was down there, so...
That's for sure.
Okay. How about another poem?
Okay. Everything was a symphony to him.
With small notes, right?
Sometimes. Everything was a symphony to him. The striking of matches against stone, the static created by scientists' butting heads, the rhythms created by a dog lapping water from a bowl, the persistence of frogs croaking in swamps. It was all music, even the fall of a glass, splintering, spreading, cutting. He heard orchestras inside books, especially modernist novels and poems and pictures. He heard the silence inside a statue. He heard the transformation of rain into hail. He heard the hearts of bees, ants, and swallows. He heard the song in a chorus of boxcars. He heard the bridge in the expanse of steel. He heard the epiphany inside a museum. Everything was a symphony to him, even the humming of refrigerators, the rising of flags. And sometimes he'd stand on a roof conducting the flow of crowds, moving in and out of revolving doors, subways, parks. Cleaning windows, he'd recognize the symphony inside a mop, because everything was amorphous, dissolving like a ship on an equatorial horizon, and tangible like 1 million natives inside a stadium watching wrestling. Everything was a note, a chord, a melody, because music was his last resort, his head the key of minor, the falling of an animal's paws inside the piano, the aftershock of gears, an emptying of fumes from a spill, a still glass on the eyelid of a hurricane.
That was very Aaron Coplandish, I would say. You trying to play on my symphonies there?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Well, Mike and Barbara, did you ever write a symphony?
I didn't.
No, not me.
All right. Bruce, tell me, what makes the successful ABC No Rio poet? Please don't ask me what makes him successful what, but
The successful, well, it's a kind of place where people can try out things. You know, test new material. And also we don't have a time limit, so people can go on for as long as they want. In fact, I'm planning to, I do theme readings, which nobody pays attention to, but I want to do a reading called the long reading, where everybody reads at least a half hour. And often we don't have heat there in the winter. And if we do have heat that day, I'm shutting it off.
You want to have a long reading in the middle of winter without heat?
Yeah.
Are we going to carve poems on the ice then if we do it that way?
I don't think anybody's going to come, actually.
Is that a good thing?
I guess.
Well, let's have another good thing. How about another poem? There must be one in there somewhere.
A long one or a short one?
Whatever we can squeeze in.
As
Short one, yeah. We took a vote. A
short one,
yeah.
okay. Some dancer must have died. Some dancer must have died because her stuff's all over Broadway. Black slippers, leotards, short pleated skirts, dance books, and magazines. I wonder if she was a student of Balanchine or Taylor or Cunningham. I wonder if she could cut the floor and make space disappear, turning, rising, falling. I wonder if she moved here from the Midwest alone and met a mental patient's knife, or if death cornered her at the balance bar and said, "You've had enough, no more practice. Your body's too thin and hard. Come rest now." I watch strangers pick through her belongings, checking for holes, for rips, for odors. I pick up some of the magazines and discover handwritten notes along the margins, filled with exclamation points and stars, and wonder if she killed herself, entering her declining dancing years, going to the roof and moving through the air like when she was 16 and the whole world was in her legs.
She must have danced at ABC. No, I can't do that. That's too cruel even for me. Well, Bruce Weber, I want to thank you for coming on Poet
Thank you.
to Poet. We'll be back in a moment with New Middle Class, so don't go away now.